Hi there, guys. It is, excuse me, it is, time is it? It's 1:30, and I am working on this painting. I need to adjust my setups just a little bit so that way I can paint and still record or show, Well, I am glad all of you guys are here. So let's see. Garu, Deb, Brandy, Sanchi, thank you for joining today. We are starting a new setup in my Art League Master Copy, Still Life in Oils Master Copy class. And this is, so the first day of a block-in, and yeah, I'm very thankful for you guys for being here. Hi there, Amina. I now recognize your name. Hi, Catherine. Nice to see you. Glad you joined. So, at the end of class, I was just starting to... Hi there, Beth. I was just starting to block in my apples. I have 3 apples, and over here are 2 Seckel pears. And Greg, thank you for joining as well. We're working in oils today. This is my live demonstration that I put on as an extra perk for my online classes that I'm teaching. On Tuesdays, I teach Tuesday mornings, Still Life in Oils, with through the Art League of Alexandria, and then we do an extra hour of demonstration where I kind of talk through and kind of work through some of my stuff more. Hi, Brandy. Hi, guys. So I am. Okay, where am I? So I was working on getting my apples in, and so this is our 7th week working in this class, and we have covered so much this week, this term. I'm just really thankful for all the opportunity. So I'm laying in my first layer of the, whoops, not too orange. So I need to make it more red. So when working on a fruit like an apple or a peach that has quite a bit of variety, I gotta adjust things. Sorry, guys. How does that? You can still see good. Okay. I like to. I paint wet and wet, and like with apples have such a variety of texture. There's a lot going on in them. So I like to work wet into wet, but I also like to make sure that I'm looking at them carefully. And right now, I need to shift to a smaller brush. But at the same time, I really prefer to start off my paintings with as big a brush as I can get away with. So I'm going to still kind of stick it out for a little bit longer. Thank you, Math and Brandy and Have Maso, Brandon, Bendit, Zaina, Angelique, Pam. Hi, Pam. Hi, Elonia. And hey, Suzanne. Nice to see you. Tracy, glad you're here too. So for my class on Tuesday mornings, we are working on becoming better artists of still life. And how I teach this class, I teach it we start off by doing a master copy, and then we do 2 paintings that are kind of like inspired or based on the master copy. And we're right now on our second painting of the term, the second like custom painting of the term. Thanks, Suzanne. And so right now, that's what I'm doing. That's what we're doing. We're starting the second setup for the class, and I'm just putting in that first layer. And in my first layer of painting, I really try to be bold, not like bold like say Gauguin, though there's something to be learned from Gauguin, but bold in that I make my first layer as saturated as possible. I really want my color saturation to be bright and intense, and with the understanding that I know that like come this the next time, my next layer of paint, I'll have more opportunity to refine. But for today, I really want that first layer to be as bold and as supportive as what I can. So like I'm putting in my colors brightly, and with my bigger brush. I will be eventually like fine-tuning and going to a smaller brush, but for now I'm trying to paint big, and I'm trying to paint big shapes, so I am I'm purposely sticking with those big shapes and the big brush. Makes someone like me who loves to paint details, it can be kind of a challenge, because it means that I have to like kind of rein myself in. Hi Anka, Luya, and Lazy River Life. Nice to see you. Jihad, hey Jihad, nice to see you too. Hope things are going well for you. So I'm exaggerating my colors a bit. I mean, yes, I see green on and yes, I have these pinky reds, and yes, I have these yellows and more greens that then go dirty with the shadows. But I'm also really, I'm exaggerating. I'm using my artistic interpretation of color, and since I know I'm going to be working on this for more than one layer, it gives me that opportunity to push the envelope of color and just really enjoy like what I can do and exaggerate a bit. Hi Karen's Polaroids. I love your gardens. I'm so thankful that you're here. And Virginia, thank you guys. Thank you for stopping by today. So, each apple has its own slight intonation. So like this one, the reds are a little bit more orange in them. And so I'm going to try to capture that bit. And it might have more orange because of the reflections of the orange bowl. I see a really strong reflection there. Oh, I forgot to I have to get a couple of colors out. But before I do that, okay, so let me get my So I paint with a full color palette at all times, and usually I have my entire palette set out, but like while I'm painting, sometimes I run out of colors. And like right now I'm out of Viridian, but I gotta stop, I gotta take a moment and reload my Viridian. But I'm kind of improvising by using cobalt blue instead for what I need for this shadow shape. And I know I need to soften that edge. That will come. Okay, I gotta quickly squeeze out my Viridian, and let's see, what else do I need to squeeze out that I'm running low on, that since I've been painting all day. Okay. So what I'm noticing is I'm analyzing my palette real quick. So what I'm noticing is that there's a couple of colors I do need to recharge, and they are raw sienna, yellow ochre, my Viridian, like I said, and cobalt green, ultramarine blue, and permanent alizarin crimson. Don't, guys, whatever you do when you're painting, don't use regular alizarin crimson. Regular alizarin crimson, PR 83, pigment red 83, is a fugitive color. And that means that as that pigment oxidizes, it goes, as a fugitive color oxidizes, it becomes more brown. So like you have a beautiful alizarin crimson, which is a beautiful color. Here, I've got a spot on my palette, but I can show you what pure, so like this is right here. I'll just put that right there. That is pure PR 177. So it's I forget the type, but it's like a substitute for alizarin crimson. And so it's a beautiful color in that it's transparent, and it's a cool red, and it's really beautiful. Unfortunately, as a true PR83 permanent alizarin sets up and like oxidizes and matures and sets up on your painting canvas, it goes brown. It loses color saturation, and it actually loses value too. So so stay away from colors that are fugitive if you can help it. So I'm squeezing out a little bit of yellow ochre and raw sienna. There you are. Now I don't know if I'm going to use these or not on this painting, but I like I was saying, I paint with a full color palette, and so I like to have all my colors kind of set out and ready to go. So because I might need it, and that way when I need a specific color that's highly saturated and just what I need to mix on my palette, I have it ready. I have it ready to use, and I think that's it for now. Good. Okay. So back to the game, and let's see who else has joined. Juliet, thank you. Rosa, glad you're here. Irene, glad you're here too. And Abdullah, thank you too for joining. So what I'm noticing is that I also need to correct some drawing things, but I think I'm going to slow down. I'm going too fast. I'm rushing, I think. And so what I'm going to do is some things that I want to kind of clean up before I move forward is I want to soften that edge. So I'm going to soften that edge, and I'm going to soften this too. Let's get that softened. Sometimes when I feel that I'm rushing too much, I'll start to go through with kind of a dry brush and kind of clean up and see what I need to do. There's a highlight in my bowl, but I'm first going to adjust it by putting in. I'm working on this fantastic linen. It's portrait grade, oil primed, lead primed linen. I don't often use it, but I had this unusual canvas that was perfect for today's class demo, so I decided to set it up, and it's making me remember how much I like painting on this surface. Okay, I want to kind of look at things. Okay, so I'm going to put in, there's a bright, it's actually more of a teal blue. So I'm going to mix cobalt blue and Viridian together to create that teal blue that I see right here. Oops, it's still too cobalty. Hi Cheryl. Nice shirt. I'm glad you're here. And yep, I'm slowing down just a bit because I'm realizing I need to slow down. My brain is jumping around too much, and I like to be more methodical with my work. And what I'm noticing too is that like this is curved too much, so that means I need to get I want to work on the shape. The shape of this pewter mug impacts what's going on next to it. So by slowing down, it gives me an opportunity to think about my adjacent connection joints, which are your edges. And edge quality is important especially when you're painting realistically. Like edge quality can be like a statement that you are using as a way of expressing, think of the post-impressionists and the cubists and stuff. They used edge to really create that sense of flatness of your picture plane. But when you paint realistically, like I'm trying to do here, I want to convey that sense of touch. So that means edge quality becomes a more important aspect of my painting process. And it means that I have to slow down and really think about those things. Hi Deb, hi Mosaicos, I'm glad you're here. And hi Wendy, glad you're here too. So because of my desire to paint realistically, I do have to be thinking about the edges. And granted, like you might be going, but Liz, look how like hyper green that those parts of that apple is. Yes, I know. I've upped the octane of that, and I did that on purpose. Oh gosh, excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. And that is because as I paint, I want my first layer of paint of these objects to really jump off the canvas from far away. And so that means I need to make sure that they do, that I want them to jump off. So that means I need to make sure that they are that their base, that their foundation as is really a dark. And thank you, Brandy. Thank you. Hi, Sev G. Glad you're here. And Jay, Eli, or Julie, I guess. Is that? Thank you so much for joining today. And so I do need to probably desaturate that some. So I'm going to slow down today. So you see how I kind of block in, and I block. I think of it as mosaic, like finding and seeking out mosaic shapes and mosaic colors. But then I start. This is all wet and wet, guys. I create my paint texture. I really prefer painting wet and wet, and working in a way that makes for, visual interest. I really need to also probably up the ante of the pewter as well, but I'm going to assume I'll have to rework that area too. But I want to get this apple a little bit nicer and a little bit further along. So oops, too light. Thanks. Got too light. So this is a fantastic pewter mug that I've got. Every year the Mount Vernon has this colonial fair, and there is there's a pewter company, a husband-wife team that come from all the way from Missouri, and they make these beautiful reproduction pewter objects. They buy antique pewter and silver objects, and then they create a mold from those antiques, and then essentially recreate. And I've gotten to know them over the years, and what I love about them too is they'll talk about like how they will go. Well, unfortunately, you can't travel right now, but how they'll travel to England and Scotland and go to different museums, house museums and other museums that have great collections of like houseware stuff, and they'll draw the patterns or the shapes that they'll see in these museums, and then they come home and recreate them. And this is one of their recreated tankard shapes. And I just absolutely adore their work. Unfortunately, with COVID this year, they were not there this September too. So I wasn't able to get a new piece. But every year I get a new piece from them because I like their work so much. So why am I doing this? Like, I said I was going to be working on that apple. That is true. But in order to make my adjacents work, my edges and everything work right, it meant that I actually had to get involved and get back into the shape of, and work a little bit more on the pewter mug. But I'm getting too far away. I need to really be working just in the adjacent areas. So my students this week or today were asking, like, how do I make reflection? So there's an apple reflection right here. And I need to get that red in, but before, you know, first and foremost, you got to remember that you're working on, that reflection is on metal. So I'm reinforcing that metal color by laying in a metal, you know, a metal gray. And then adjacent to that is a really dark color. So I'm going to put that dark color in. And then there's some dark colors here, so I'll get some dark colors there. And let's see, it's dark right here too, so I'm gonna get that in. I also need to measure real quick. Okay, if that's my apple, and it goes like that. Ah, shoot. So it goes down like that. That means that edge is there. Yep, okay. So I wanted to make sure that I had drawn in, blocked in that apple correctly. So I just verified that I did. And so now it's time to work on my reflection. So there, the apple reflection is right here. And so I'm laying in the red, but oftentimes when I'm laying wet and wet like that, I'll lay down a clean and then I flip over. But for the gray, you know, I want that gray to come through. So that means I need to have the gray of that to come through. And I'm actually going to lay in just a little bit more gray on top of that red that I just laid in. And there's a highlight, so I need to actually show the three-dimensional shape of that apple. So I'm going to lay in a lighter value on top of that. Okay. And then I need to put a highlight in. There's a highlight right here. So let's get that guy in. Okay, let's get that in right there. Okay. Now, this highlight right here is a placeholder. It will get lighter eventually. But for now, it is what it is. I need to lighten this a bit more, so I'm going to put that in. Now it needs to go a bit darker. Huh. It's always a push and pull with metal. So I'm going to just leave that like that. Okay. There is the brown of the tabletop. Whoops. Okay, that's a good. So now I've got enough like stuff going on and stability wise and everything that allows me to then, like, I can move on. Oh wait, let's see. Do need to get a couple of highlights. Okay. Keeps wanting to focus. Oh my goodness, Brandy, thank you for saying that. Let's see if I can do that. The big problem is if it pushes too much, I will stand in it too. But let's see. Yep, that is sometimes a problem. Okay, let's see. What do I need to do? Okay, I'm also going to need to move because I know I'm going to, where the camera is where I want to put my head. So, okay, so let's see if that makes it better. Okay, so now it's time to work on so I'm going to be working on this top edge right here and get things kind of settled and sorted out. So so right here, very light green. So I'm putting that in. Okay. There we go. So I'm working. I'm slowly working. I want to just slow down. I really want to make this first layer good today. And more along the lines of what I see. Okay. And these wonderful notes of rich green. Okay. Makes it, I think, in some ways more challenging, but this is what I love about apples, is all the different colors that are found in an apple. I mean, geez. It's like autumn colors all in one little piece of fruit. Go. And there's, there is red here, but there's also like an undertone painting in green. So I'm going to recover that. And now this foreground is going to want to roll. But before I put that foreground color in, I really want to get what's going on this side of the apple, that back, the further back side. So I am trying to discipline myself, i.e. like do what the painting needs versus what I want to paint. And what I want to paint is more in the foreground, but in order to make this feel like a three-dimensional apple on my painting surface means that I have to be disciplined and I have to go, nope, what I need to do is I need to paint, these not as interesting spots of the apple. Not as okay, so I've got, I gotta look at this, I gotta squint and look, there's lighter values, so I need to get those lighter values in. So this is all wet and wet. I'm using lead white, Kremnitz white. It's my favorite type of white to paint with, especially I love how it's thicker, and so you do have to use it can require a little bit more finesse, but then like you have so much more variety of texture that you're able to accomplish too when painting with the lead white, and you get to build up these wonderful yummy impasto textures that you don't get to do with that. I find it very hard to build up the impasto textures in titanium white. Yes, you can do it, but then you can't touch it. You can't go back and like fine tune or finesse it a bit. That apple's rolling. There's some really nice little shapes. Okay, so where is that? So I still need, boy, I got still so much more to work on this apple here. Oops, too dark. Okay. So I'm going to work on lighter values and build that. Oops. Okay, got to clean up my brush. My brush got too dirty. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry guys, I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Thank you guys. Okay. How to fast dry a small oil painting on a wood panel. And Lenia, that one, you know, it really depends on, like if you did titanium white, that sucker's going to take a while to dry. You can try to put it under a, like a, if you have a halogen bulb, a halogen light bulb, not a fluorescent, not an LED. It needs to be a type of light bulb, even a regular incandescent, but halogen's best. Sometimes if you set that bulb about a foot away from your painting for like 48 hours, you can get titanium white to set up a little bit faster. But you know, that's one of the reasons why I do use lead white so much, is because lead white sets up faster. It's a white that builds up. You can build up impasto really fast, and then it also sets up and dries faster too, which I really like. So thank you, Maudie. I really appreciate that. Hi Ann, Debbie, Gohan, I guess, Carlos, thank you. Steiner Studio, thank you. Hi Diana, I'm glad you're here too. What time is it? Are you in? You're in Australia, aren't you, Diana? What time is it in Australia right now? So I still need to work on my shadow shape, my dimple of my apple, and so you know, I'm preferring how things are starting to roll there, but I can't start painting here until I get my dimple set up, or kind of like formed in properly. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to work on, there's some really wonderful, like bright greens. Apples are so amazing, the amount of color that's in them. So I'm first doing a whoops, got that too dark, so I need to make sure I recapture. Okay. 5:15. Oh my goodness, Diana, thank you so much for being up and watching. Cool. Catherine, at what stage would I put those little flecks in the apples? You know, the way I'm painting today, Catherine, in a way, because I feel like I really need to slow down, I'm going to start getting some of those flecks in now. Now the freckles, those white freckles that are in this apple, I may never put those in. I think sometimes that's going like That's going, I'm all about being like OCD, but that's sometimes I put governors on myself too but I'll start putting in some of those, the, the, the flecks and how, like, I'll bring in some of like the yellow down here. Help me, it helps give that dimension to the apple already. That's nice. Okay, and like there's an apple stem right here, but I don't usually paint that apple stem until later, but I do paint the shadow shape that apple stem makes. The shadow is important to put in early on, so, but I don't always put the stem in right away. Okay, so let's see, there's a darker value right here, so I need to get that in. And there's darker value right here, so I need to get that guy in. So once I get him, oops, so that was wrong. This edge goes more like that. So, but once I start getting, now I've got that dark edge in. So now I can start working in the foreground. Oh, thank you, Behrooz. I do these lives about an hour after I teach my morning classes. And it's, my schedule is kind of scattered because we're entering the holiday season here in North America. But I do realize I probably should like publish a schedule. I haven't published a schedule in a while. So I'll do that, and probably what I'll do is I'll put my schedule on my links in profile. So like if you go to my links in profile, I'll have a little blurb at the bottom of my links page. This probably will be the best way for me to do what I want to do. Okay, so like what's going on now, this edge right here is a complex edge of that apple going into the like, I call it the dimple, the navel of that apple. And what is going on is that, I have my value shifts. I have, the dark value, and then I've got like a high, high chroma, a saturated part where it circles, and then it's a little bit lighter in value immediately as it rolls a little bit further. I have to soften that, and that high chroma, so the dark, there's it's a bit of a wrinkle, so, and then it comes into here. And it's all right there too. And then I've got, then it gets lighter, and when it starts shifting, a lot more yellow at like right here. It's very yellow. It's not a constant yellow, so I'm kind of flecking that in. And there. There we go. That's starting to really roll and come forward. and still have that apple texture that I love so much. So yeah, I like that. I like how that's coming together. So, and what I'm noticing, I need to, that apple, and so now I need to also be where I gotta make sure that the edge of, and so like this foreground apple, I actually have to paint over the edge of the foreground apple. And the reason why is because when I establish that edge for the foreground apple, I don't want it to kind of accidentally create like a halo effect around this apple. So I'm gonna have, I purposely make a choice of painting over it by about eighth of an inch. What's that? That's like 2 millimeters for you guys that are overseas. Just enough to create a little bit of overlap. You know, I just want a little bit of overlap. I don't want a gigantic amount of overlap, but I want just a little bit of overlap. And I think, nope, that's actually about right where it needs to be. Okay, and then I've got a dark shadow because that apple is sitting on surface, and then it has where it's folding under, it's very dark. So I need to make sure in that too. And then the way this apple is, okay, like right there. I want to get that in, and then I need to work. And then there's so much darkness right here. I need to get that guy in. And then work with the foreground. I think I'm going to just quickly move to a bigger brush. I want to cover a lot of area fast, real quick. Okay, so okay. I want to get, oops, not dark enough, or not light enough. So. Okay, let's get that guy in. Let's get, I want to get that covered. So okay. Just getting that layer in at first, because my goal for today, this is the first day of this setup. My goal is to get the setup, like the first, my paint layer down for the first paint layer. So need to darken this a bit. And then let's get that darkened. My shadow shapes. Just gonna simplify that a bit. So I gotta get that guy, that part of the bowl in. I haven't yet done that. Okay, so that's, oops, too much dark on my brush. And I'm trying to, but it does get darker as it moves away, so maybe I will darken that just a little bit. Yeah, so there's that. Where am I? What am I doing on time? Okay, I've got like about 5 more minutes, so I need to get further along. That's what I need to do. So I think I'm going to work on that edge right now, just to clean that edge up and get it at least to okay, so let me get that edge, start working on that edge a bit. Now I gotta I made it hard because I was going against the contour, but now I'm going to soften it just a wee bit because I want it to roll. I want that edge to roll. Okay, guys, thank you. Any questions? I wasn't looking. Thank you guys. Merche, Carolina, Ovid, Chris, Basil, I guess, Basil. Thank you. I do so appreciate. So this is, now for those that have just joined, we've only got a few more minutes left of this live, and this live is like an extra perk I provide for my online students that are taking my class through the Art League of Alexandria. We are, I'm teaching oils, still life with oils, through, with also a master copy. So we are doing some pretty fun stuff in this class. We start off our sessions, our 9-week session, with a master copy, and then we shift off to doing 2 original still lifes. And this is number 2 of our 9-week class. So we just started a new still life today. And I organized them by 3. So 3 weeks each we focus on a master copy. Then we focus on a still life number 1, like I call it still life number 1, and then we do still life number 2, and this is still life number 2 that we're working on. We just started it today. And I just, this is the beginning of my demonstration of how I take shapes, simple objects, and turn them into a painting. And turn them into a painting that is interesting and beautiful, and shares that sense of touch that I like so much, and it has you know, all sorts of like fun things about it. So I need to, so I paint wet and wet. So all my layers go down my, you know, I have multiple layers in each painting, but for each like level of layers, I'm painting wet and wet. You're welcome, Catherine. My pleasure. My pleasure. Gives me an opportunity to paint for a little bit more, and I know when I was first learning to paint, the observing my instructor painting was crucial. Oh goodness, I'm gonna sneeze again. Very crucial. So just picked up some dark, but there we go. And well, for my students, you'll see that big bright yellow, and you know it's not that bright. In the final version is not that bright. But I started brighter because I want that to really I want the bright colors, the undertones to really come through, and one of the best ways to do that is by starting off with a higher octane kind of, or I say higher octane, but what I mean is like your higher chroma, higher saturation, and it just helps, it sets up for a better opportunity. And so I've got these wonderful. Yeah, this is lovely. I really like this painting already so far. So I'm really enjoying this. Okay, so I need to. Okay, there's that. Oh, there's my timer. That, guys, I have got to let you go, but I really appreciate you guys joining me and being, you know, being a part of this experience. And yeah, so there's the beginning of a painting. There's so much that needs to be done, and I'm at that phase where I really want to dive in more, but I gotta stop because Instagram's gonna kick me off real soon. So thank you. And you guys, I'll see y'all next week, Tuesday, same time, an hour after my morning class. Thank you so much, Amina. I really appreciate it. Annie, Chris, let's see, LSC, L. Stucker, thank you for joining. Mariki, thank you for joining. Evie, thank you, Brandy. Yep, today I was sneezing a lot, so I appreciate you guys coming in today, and have a good one. Take care. Bye.